In this podcast episode, featuring Coleman Hughes, the discussion revolves around the concept of race politics, the implications of anti-racism, and the evolving dynamics of voter behavior in the United States. Hughes, an author and commentator, presents an argument for a return to colorblind principles in evaluating individuals, emphasizing the detrimental effects of identity politics and the current state of racial discourse. Hughes begins by reflecting on the significant changes in racial discourse since the so-called Great Awakening of 2014, a period marked by the mainstream adoption of terms like systemic racism and white supremacy. He notes that, contrary to expectations, the political landscape has shifted, with Republicans gaining ground among Black and Hispanic voters. This trend, he argues, is indicative of a broader misunderstanding among Democrats regarding the motivations and concerns of these communities. Hughes posits that the Democratic Party has failed to grasp the implications of their rhetoric and policies, which often alienate potential supporters. He suggests that the party's focus on identity politics and the promotion of a victimhood narrative have not resonated with many voters who prioritize individual merit and opportunity over group identity. Central to Hughes's argument is the concept of colorblindness, which he defines as the principle of evaluating individuals based on their abilities and character rather than their race or ethnicity. He draws parallels to the civil rights movement of the 1960s, which championed the idea that individuals should be judged by their personal merits rather than their racial backgrounds. He argues that this approach not only benefits individuals, but also society as a whole, as it allows for the selection of the most qualified candidates in various fields. Hughes acknowledges the challenges of achieving true colorblindness in a society that has a natural proclivity for in-group favoritism. He emphasizes that while tribalism is an inherent aspect of human nature, it is crucial to mitigate its negative effects through cultural norms and education. He advocates for a return to the values espoused by early civil rights leaders who sought to create a society where race was irrelevant in matters of justice and opportunity. Hughes delves into the historical roots of colorblindness, tracing its origins back to the abolitionist movement. He highlights figures like Wendell Phillips, who advocated for a government that does not recognize race in its laws. This historical context serves to counter the narrative that colorblindness is a concept rooted in white supremacy or conservative ideology. Instead, Hughes argues that it is a principle that emerged from the most radical wings of the abolitionist movement, aimed at achieving true equality. He critiques the modern left's abandonment of colorblindness, noting that many contemporary anti-racist activists have redefined the concept to fit their agendas. This redefinition, he argues, has led to a distortion of the original intent behind the civil rights movement, which sought to eliminate racial discrimination rather than exacerbate it through policies that favor certain groups over others. The conversation shifts to the psychological and legal implications of race-based evaluations. Hughes discusses the importance of meritocracy in hiring and educational settings, arguing that race should not be a factor in determining an individual's qualifications. He points out that psychological research consistently shows that attributes such as race and ethnicity do not predict job performance or academic success. Instead, factors like cognitive ability and personality traits are far more relevant. Hughes emphasizes that the legal framework in the United States has historically supported colorblindness, particularly through the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He argues that the intent of this legislation was to create a society where individuals are not discriminated against based on race. However, over the years, judicial interpretations have shifted, leading to policies that promote reverse discrimination and affirmative action, which Hughes believes undermine the original goals of the civil rights movement. The discussion also touches on the concept of meritocracy and its implications for social mobility. Hughes argues that merit-based systems are essential for ensuring that individuals are evaluated based on their abilities rather than their racial or ethnic backgrounds. He cites examples from educational institutions where the elimination of standardized testing has led to a decline in the quality of education and a misalignment of student capabilities with academic expectations. As the conversation progresses, Hughes critiques the rise of identity politics and its impact on societal cohesion. He argues that the emphasis on racial and ethnic identities has led to increased division and resentment among different groups. This, he believes, is counterproductive to the goals of achieving equality and understanding among diverse populations. Hughes points out that the current anti-racist movement often perpetuates the very divisions it seeks to eliminate. By focusing on group identity and promoting a narrative of victimhood, activists are inadvertently reinforcing stereotypes and fostering animosity between different racial and ethnic groups. The podcast concludes with a discussion of the current political landscape in the United States, particularly in light of the upcoming 2024 elections. Hughes notes that the Republican Party has made significant inroads with Black and Hispanic voters, a trend that challenges the traditional Democratic narrative. He attributes this shift to a growing recognition among these communities of the importance of individual merit and opportunity. Hughes expresses concern that the Democratic Party has not adapted to these changes, continuing to rely on outdated narratives that do not resonate with many voters. He emphasizes the need for a more nuanced understanding of the diverse perspectives within minority communities and the importance of addressing their concerns in a meaningful way.